blockchain. So the plan is that we're going to be moving all the main battle-related operations off of the blockchain. And we're able to do that in a way that still allows the battle results to be, verifiable and provably fair. And I think there's some questions about that down in the AMA, so we'll get to those later today. But ultimately, we need to be smart about when it is, makes sense and is important that we broadcast transactions to the blockchain, and when it's not necessary, just in order to grow this to the size that we all think it can grow. So, again, thank you to everyone for bearing with us as we kind of get that rolled out as quickly as possible. But hopefully, pretty soon this will all be behind us. Everything will be working much more smoothly, and we can kind of get on with building out all the awesome new features that we have coming. So I guess I will go ahead and get started with the questions. Maybe a little later, we can also hear from some other people on the team. Maybe Cryptomancer wants to talk a little bit more about Brawls 2.0, which are ready to be released. Hopefully that'll happen pretty soon. Yeah, okay, trying to go here. Thank you, Carrie Allen, for linking me back to a question from August 2nd by Brybro. Question: with huge growth we continue to experience in new players and daily active users, do you foresee removing the DEC fee for creating a new guild or offering free guilds for Mavs to run to allow new players to benefit from bonuses? I see a lot of players asking about joining a guild but not finding one that's open because they're limited and scarce right now. Yeah, that's not something I had really thought about. Also, because mostly I've been thinking about the scaling changes and pretty much just focusing on that stuff right now. But I think at the very least, maybe we could reduce the DEC fee. But it's something we'll have to think about, because that's one of the sinks for the DEC token. So my thought is that the current huge demand for dark energy crystals will not last forever. As kind of the SPS airdrop dies down over the next year. So we do want to make sure that there are still enough sinks for DEC tokens, but it's also important that guilds are able to be created and people are able to take advantage of that. So I don't have an answer other than we'll look at that. Next question, also from Brybro, along the same lines of onboarding so many new players, any thoughts on increasing the amount of brawl tiers and adding in new tiers to help make the transition from tier to tier less intimidating? Current tiers tend to scare potential guilds away and keep them in the same tier if they keep placing high in brawls. I don't think this should be the incentive, as it caps the amount of players who can play in brawls for that guild, and it will help change the focus on having a larger guild compete at a higher level. In general, I kind of leave the brawl stuff up to Cryptomancer. I think I would say, first of all, we'll probably get Brawls Phase 2 out and released and see how that goes for a little bit, and then it's always good to just keep a look at what's going on and how that changes things, and if it makes sense to adjust tiers or how that works. So I would say, after Brawls 2.0 is released and running for a little bit, we'll, hopefully Cryptomancer can take a look at some of the data and player feedback, and we'll see if we can make changes or if we need to make changes. Next question from Grosh. What is the first thing we need to have SPS staked for, and when can we expect it? Chaos Legion presale, or is there something to prior to that which requires staked SPS? Yeah, the first thing's definitely going to be the Chaos Legion presale. We are hoping for that to be to start in September, and that is planned to be the first thing that you will need to have SPS staked for. Makaka says, when Brawl 2.0 this month? Yes, it's done and ready for release. We'll just have to see with all the other changes and stuff going on when it will actually be released, but should definitely be this month. Another question from Grosh. When I cancel a card that's rented out, the current rental is canceled, and after the time remaining is finished, so the card's returned to me, it's automatically put on the market to be rented again. How do I ensure my cards are not relisted once I cancel them? So there was a bug that the Peak Monsters team brought up, where if you canceled the rental on the last day, it went back on the market instead of just back in your collection and off the market, which we should have fixed a couple days ago. But it's possible there are some other bugs with that. So if it's still happening, we'll look at that and try to get those fixed as quickly as possible. Next question seems to also be about the rental issue, which again, if there's still issues after the last fix, we'll look at those and get them fixed. Scrolling down. All right, Byzantinist, question for me. When unstaking SPS, does the SPS still earn staking rewards until the point it is unstaked? So status equals staked until the 1 week has passed for the first 25%, and then suddenly status is liquid. Yes, so that's how it works. So when you unstake SPS, it still counts for you as staked SPS until the week passes, and then it becomes liquid, and then it doesn't count anymore. So you can, as he goes on to talk about, just kind of be in a constant state of unstaking and just restake it, once it becomes liquid, if you want, to kind of be more flexible there. But it does, if you're in the unstaking process, it still counts as staked SPS until it's actually unstaked and liquid in your account. A bunch of questions from Jens from early this morning. Where does the DEC burn value of Chaos Legion cards come from? Is it newly minted DEC, or is DEC bought off the market and then forged into new cards? No, it is newly minted DEC. So anytime there's new cards created, it does add to potential. I guess it technically adds to DEC inflation, although they're kind of like wrapped up in the cards. These days we've seen card burning becoming a much more rare thing than it has been in the past, since card prices have been up so much. But yeah, that's something to keep into account for people looking at DEC prices and things like that. Is when new cards come out, it's all newly minted and not bought off the market. Second question, did you decide on how many Chaos Legion packs to sell yet? No, we haven't. We haven't decided any of the Chaos Legion economy stuff yet. Like, again, everything's kind of been put on hold until the current issues can be resolved. Can we pay for Chaos Legion with BUSD? Yeah, you'll be able to buy Chaos Legion packs with credits, which you can buy with BUSD as well as PayPal and various other tokens. And question, should we push and shove? For the pre-sale, I mean, nothing's decided 100% yet, but there's probably going to be some type of limited amount that will be available in the pre-sale, and you'll need SPS staked in order to participate in the pre-sale. So I guess for pushing and shoving should probably be, at least just having SPS ready or staked in your account. Michael B, question, anyone recording this AMA? That is a good question. I'm not able to record it since I'm not at home. Agro's not here, who usually records it. So if anyone from the community or the team or anyone anywhere is able and available to record it, that would be super awesome. Otherwise, you guys who are listening will just have to tell everyone what I said. Sorry about that. All right, looking down here. All right, questions from Jarvie. How will randomness be decided in the game now, since previously it was published that you did that with transaction IDs from the blockchain? So very similar way. So transaction IDs from the blockchain are just basically like a hash of all the data in the transaction. So you'll still, even though the transactions won't be published to the blockchain, players will still need to create the transaction in the same way and sign it with their private keys, which we can take a hash of and generate a transaction ID that can still be used to generate the results of the battle. And it can take the transaction ID, from both players. It can use the transaction ID from both players' transactions in determining the seed for the random generator for the battle results, so it still can be unpredictable. So that doesn't really change by the fact that they're not published on the blockchain. And again, anyone can verify those transactions and that transaction ID because it's signed by the player's Hive private keys, which is something that we aren't able to change or anything like that. So we still are able to keep the same provable fairness without publishing those transactions to the blockchain. Second question from Jarvie, what's the interest level for the previously promoted concept of provably fair games on blockchain? Is there very little interest in it, and most people just play Splinterlands, and with hundreds of thousands of games, no one seems to care, and so the trade-off is better to just not have on blockchain? Do you see a return to it eventually? Well, like I was saying, we're not giving up the provably fair or verifiability aspect by doing this. And we also mentioned in the post that the results of all the battles will be published to the blockchain by Splinterlands accounts, so that all that is still available on a publicly, verifiable ledger on the Hive blockchain. As far as, how many people really care about it, I don't know, but, I think there's definitely some that do. I'm one of them. So, it's very important to us that we maintain the whole purpose of being a blockchain-based game. We just have to do it more, initially, everything on the blockchain, and that's it, everything on the blockchain, period. But, that's just not working, and that's not scalable to the level we want to grow to. So we need to be smarter about what things do we need to put on the blockchain, and are there things that don't need to be on the blockchain while still offering the benefits that we want. And I don't think we see a return to putting everything on the blockchain ever, because it's just not going to work. I mean, yeah, we made some changes and we got things working better with the current size of the player base, but we don't anticipate to stop growing, and we want to grow 10x or more from here. And if we're kind of running into these type of issues with 3 million blockchain transactions a day, what happens when we get to 30 million or 100 million? It's just not going to work. So, we need to continue to always look at everything we're doing and saying, how can we do this more efficiently, and what needs to be on the blockchain and what doesn't, and make sure we be real smart about that. Question number 3 from Jarvie: can you only do one unstaking action of SPS per account? What if I unstake some but then want to unstake some more without removing my first unstaking countdown? Yeah, unfortunately, there can only be one active unstaking of SPS per account at a time. This is the same as how Hive power downs work, and it's just I'll say it's a lot more complicated to manage and organize multiple unstaking operations per account, and also show that in a way that makes sense in the UI. So we kind of went with just copying kind of how Hive power downs work. So if you have an active unstaking process happening and you want to unstake more, you will have to cancel that and start a new process. Fat Jimmy has a question: can the protocol be changed to allow rental price to be changed while a card is currently rented? The current 24-hour period would continue for the renter, then terminate. The card would be relisted at the new price. Jarvie said there was something that needed to be done on the dev end and nothing they can do. Yeah, that's correct. It needs to be done on our end. I think there's no reason why it can't be done. We just have to get to that as a priority, which is, I know there's a bunch of rental stuff right now, but currently the priority is get the scaling changes implemented as fast as possible, get everything working as well as possible, and then we're kind of go back and do all these things that have kind of been put on hold, which include things like changes to how rentals work, to make it easier for people. Along the same line, can an API for renting cards be added, not just listed for rent? Yeah, definitely. We'll try to get to that, once the scaling stuff is done. And all right, generally this is a wish list for rental things. So I would say, I talk to Jarvie and the Peak Monsters team regularly. So, we'll have them give the wish list of things that they want from the community, and we'll try to have somebody get to them as soon as possible. Question from King Snorky. Question: can we have an application-wide setting to disable sound so I do not need to disable it across multiple devices with every new session? Yes, I have heard that the mute sounds isn't working in some cases. So we'll have to have just someone, look at what the issue is and fix that. But it's supposed to, persist. So if it doesn't, that's a bug that we'll have to get to. Moriarty95 has some questions. Question: once land claims are revealed and plots are given a rarity, will the SPS points for each plot be changed depending on its rarity? That is a good question. I haven't thought about that yet. That's part of what, all the things we have to think about as we go through and actually, finish and release the land claiming stuff. This is all part of whenever we have a new feature, we build it out, we have a plan for it, but then there's all these kind of little things we have to take into account and figure out. So, I think that would make sense, that higher rarity land plots would be worth more, but, it's just not something we've thought about yet. Any info on the Chaos Legion presale in September? You got some details already, like how much SBS staking will be required? Are there any promo cards planned for that, and so on? And will we be able to buy Chaos Legion packs using credits? You'll definitely be able to buy them using credits in the presale and afterwards. We really don't have any more information that we can share. I will say that there's definitely going to be at least one promo card planned for the presale. So, I think that there probably isn't going to be, much of a discount, if any, for the presale, but getting in the presale will, one, we're probably going to do a similar airdrop mechanism like we did for Dice and Untamed. So if you get, if you get packs from the first group, like during the presale, they'll be eligible for all the airdrops for the remainder of the set. And then there will be promo cards and potentially other benefits that are only available in the presale and not afterwards. So, that's kind of the benefit for being involved in the presale. And, as far as how much SPS, I don't have those numbers yet. We kind of have to look at the, economy design for all that and figure that out. But my plan is that it'll be just linear. Like, you'll need X amount of SPS token staked for each pack that you want to buy in the presale. So it won't be, it won't matter if you have some in some account and some in another account or whatever. It'll just be, X amount staked allows you to buy this amount of during the presale, and hopefully keep it pretty simple that way. Question: can you add, from Hatoto, can you add animation for leveling cards? That would be awesome. Yeah, I think starting with Guild Brawls Phase 2 and then going into pretty much everything we do in the future, especially with lands, Nate has been working really hard with a bunch of other artists to get more little animations and cool things and polish into the game. So you're going to start seeing more of that soon, hopefully. And, I think it'll also make sense to go back when we have some time and add animations for other things like leveling cards. So we definitely want to do that. But again, it always is a matter of priorities, and, fixing the current game issues is the top priority right now. Question from Kiyokiz: how likely is the in-game marketplace to arrive before Chaos Legion for packs, totems, skins, etc.? I don't really know. That kind of got a little bit derailed with the current stuff that's going on. But that's something I really, really want to have out. So, I don't know. Once this next scaling project is taken care of, I'm going to try to get that on the plate as quickly as possible. But I can't guarantee anything. Question from Fat Jimmy: would it be possible to add a small icon to the top bar next to events and guilds that would let us know if we're in an active event that requires action, such as a tournament or brawl, like a little red light or dot? Yeah, I think that we should absolutely do that. These are the type of things where, like Cryptomancer, if you're listening, and have some time to get little things like that in, that would be awesome, because I feel the same way where, like, sometimes, I forget about brawl battles. I know the thing pops up when you first log in, but after that, you don't see anything that's kind of a reminder that you have stuff going on. So I would love to get that in. So that's a good suggestion. All right, scrolling down here, there's a bunch of discussion. And, for anyone who hasn't listened before, if you have a question, please type question in big letters before it. It makes it easy for me to just be able to see it while scrolling down here on my laptop screen. I see a question from Unit QM. Will Chaos Legion packs cost $2? I can't say for sure, again, because we haven't done the economy design for Chaos Legion. I would like to keep it at $2. That seems to be a reasonable price. But we'll see if for whatever reason it needs to be changed. So I can't say either way yet. Question: can you make all surrendered fights actually be considered draws until the server stability issues are fixed? This might help a lot of people from getting frustrated right now when we submit teams, refresh many times, and it still says we surrendered. Yeah, the thing is, we have to do some work to make that happen in a way that would, make sense. And then, that work would take away from the actual work of fixing the problem. And, who knows if we kind of try to get that out real quick, if that could cause issues. So I would say we're just probably going to focus on fixing the issues as quickly as possible. But, as I said before, I understand that people are frustrated. It's just going to take a little time to get that all sorted out. Scrolling down. Unit QM has a question. Where did all the people looking for scholarships go? It seemed like that dried up fast. Were they around and just getting routed to the right channel? I don't know. That's a good question. Probably for the YGG guys. I haven't really been involved in that. So, if the YGG guys want to talk about how that's going, that sounds good to me. I don't see Knight in here, but maybe he could comment later. Question from Hashmask. Can you give us some insights how playtesting for new cards and abilities works? Do you use some kind of tools, or is it literally more math and paper? Yeah, in general, so I have a really, really big spreadsheet of all the different cards and abilities and the stats and all that stuff. And then we assign point values to everything. So like melee attack, health, armor, magic attack, range attack, all the different abilities, everything gets point values. And then each card kind of has a target point value based on its rarity, its level, and all that different stuff, mana cost, etc. And so that kind of gives a baseline of how a card would be kind of balanced if the points relatively match up, because every single card has the same formula for the target points. So then we look at if the points from the stats kind of are in the ballpark of the target points, and we know that like it's generally somewhat balanced. And then on top of that, we just have to use our judgment of different things, to see what we think if a card, makes sense. Does it seem like it would be overpowered, underpowered? We compare it to all the existing cards that are similar in the game to try to make sure it's always unique and, not too much more or less powerful than other cards. And then, this is something Xantanist also helps out a lot with. And then in some cases, we do try it out, either on the test server or internally or whatever. But, I think that process has gotten a lot smoother over time as we just get more, more familiar with it. And, as the game grows and there's just more time to understand like what abilities and things works together. So that's kind of the process. It starts with the spreadsheet and the formulas, and then we can just kind of use our own kind of testing and judgment on top of that. All right, let's find the next questions. Questions. What languages and game engine did you use to build Splinterlands? It's all built in JavaScript with Node.js on the back end and just regular, HTML JavaScript pages on the front end. So it's pretty simple, really. I generally don't try to go in. I'm not very familiar with a lot of the like fancy tools and engines and frameworks and all that stuff. So I try to keep it, kind of simple. But I think as the team grows, we might implement some more advanced things in the future. But for right now, it's pretty simple JavaScript based application. Question, Doctor Who fan. When can we earn SPS through ranked battles? That's a good question. Again, after we get through these current issues, that's one of the top of the list things. It's not too difficult of a thing to implement because it's basically going to be pretty similar to how dark energy crystals are given out. There'll just be dark energy crystals and SPS tokens. And then in the future, I can't say exactly when, but we're going to build out the full system of staking on players as described in the SPS token white paper. But hopefully, you know, assuming the scaling issues get taken care of within the next week or two, then SPS and ranked battles should be shortly after that. Question, ETA for Chaos Legion. We're looking at the pre-sale being in September, and then probably the release, you know, like a month after that, so in October. That's where we're currently at now. But again, if, like, you know, the scaling issues take more time to solve than we anticipate, or whatever new things come up, things may have to be pushed back. Cryptomancer has a question. I've seen some people in chat wondering about the SPS management page number for total supply, which is currently 200 million. Can you give a brief breakdown of what into that initial number and explain why it's not changing as the daily airdrop continues? Yeah, that's a great question. So in the white paper, you can see the distribution, and for the moment, it's going to be done monthly. So basically, all the tokens that are given out for the airdrop have been, and in-game rewards from SPS staking, you know, and there's been a bunch created for the other in-game reward pools that haven't been launched yet. But those have all been minted on Binance Smart Chain. And so they're sort of held in like an escrow account. The largest SPS holder account is sort of like the cold wallet for all the tokens that are going to be given out in the game for the month. And so at the end of August, you know, there'll be the next round of tokens minted to cover the additional tokens that are going to be given out in the game for the next month, and so on and so forth. Then in the future, when we have like the full contracts developed, which won't be until, you know, next year at some point, where there's the full DAO stuff and everything, then it'll change where it's, you know, all the reward pools are being minted on a regular basis automatically through the smart contracts, and that will be editable, you know, through governance voting. But until then, since that's not all ready yet, it's just kind of a manual, a monthly process that will just mint all the tokens, you know, that will be given out in the game for that month. So that's where the 200 million number comes from, and you can see the breakdown of that in the white paper. Hopefully that answered that sufficiently. Question from Cherazy. Will there be another land drop in the future? Secondary market prices of 200 is too high for entry of new players. That's a good question, and the answer is we do not plan to sell any more land in the future. I mean, possibly, you know, sometime far in the future, and this would probably be up to like a DAO governance vote or something. It's possible that more land could be released, but the whole point is, you know, there are different types of assets in the game. So there's cards and there's land, really, are the main ones. And so with cards, we do plan to, you know, always consistently release new sets of cards and keep the prices, you know, relatively low at, you know, a couple dollars or so a pack, so that new players can always come in and get those at a reasonable price. But land is purposely not like that. And so, you know, we are excited and happy to see the secondary market prices of land going up. And, you know, we hope, but we can't guarantee at all that will continue in the future. And the thing is that new players don't, you know, no one needs to have any land in order to participate in the game at all. So, you know, we expect that land is going to be a very, very scarce asset, and it may be very hard to come by, and that the majority of players in the game are never able to get any land. And that's okay, and that's kind of the purpose of land. And cards are the thing, you know, that we want to make it sure that new players are always able to get at a reasonable price to participate in the game. So, you know, we've said that before, and so it's good to say it again for the new players. But you know, that's the plan for land, and you know, you guys can plan accordingly based on that. Question from Prototype 6. If battles would not be on blockchain, how would redundancy be implemented in case of any form of failure prior to being recorded on the blockchain? I'm not sure what that means exactly. If you're talking about in the case of the battle results not being recorded on the blockchain, you know, we'll just have our scripts and our servers will automatically publish the results of all the battles on the blockchain. And we have already, a bunch of systems in place where if any blockchain transactions that we try to publish fail, that they get retried at regular intervals until they succeed, which has worked for a bunch of things like the bridges for tokens into the game and other things. So, we're pretty certain that we'll be able to kind of guarantee that all battle results will eventually be published to the blockchain from our servers. So if I'm misunderstanding that question, feel free to repost it. But as I understand it, that's the case. Question: how many packs will be available for Chaos Legion presale? I don't know yet. That's something we're going to have to figure out when all this current stuff is figured out. Question: where can I find info about the actual connection issues? Not sure what you mean exactly, but generally we've found that the community is super helpful for people who are having issues. So I'd say ask in Discord or tech support, and hopefully someone can help try to get that resolved. Question: what percentage of Chaos Legion cards have been designed? So I think all of the art and all of the characters art, the character design has been done for all of the Chaos Legion cards. We haven't done the stat design yet, but I think for a new set of cards, it's actually kind of easier, especially now that we're going to be splitting up the wild and modern formats. So it's just going to be the newer cards with Chaos Legion. There's sort of a template of like the different splinters and like what are the different kind of cards that they need. They need like a tank card. They need some, magic attack cards, range attack cards, sneak, snipe, opportunity, that type of stuff. And then there's different strengths and weaknesses for the different splinters. So we kind of just take the cards and we kind of fit them out and set the stats and abilities in a way that makes sense for those like kind of archetypes of the card, and then also try to make them unique. So, that kind of stuff. Now that the characters and the art is all designed, which is definitely the majority of the time and effort involved, that kind of stuff can come into place pretty quickly when we get closer to the launch. Question from Kahel: when do you plan to reward SPS and rank battle instead of Dark Energy Crystals? So first of all, we're not going to do it instead of Dark Energy Crystals. It's going to be in addition to Dark Energy Crystals. And as I said a little earlier, that's hopefully going to be pretty soon after kind of the current scaling issues get resolved. Question: any updates on acquiring a Splinterlands node? I'm not sure what you mean by Splinterlands node. If you mean running a copy of the Splinterlands code to process transactions in the blockchain, that's something that's kind of on our long-term roadmap, but isn't one of our top priorities. So it's something that I would like everyone to be able, to do, to run their own Splinterlands node. But there's definitely going to be a lot of work required to get it to a state where that makes sense. If you're talking about in Splinterlands running their own Hive blockchain node, we do have 2 Hive blockchain nodes that we run, public nodes, but then also some private ones that our servers use to be able to broadcast transactions. So I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but hopefully that answers it either way. Prototype 6 has a question: what amounts of SPS will be needed? When can we expect this information? We don't know yet. The information will be out as soon as it's possible. As soon as we know it and it's kind of set in stone and decided, there'll be an announcement post, and it'll definitely be some amount of weeks before the actual pre-sale starts. So, it's not like, hey, you need this much SPS staked and it starts tomorrow. We'll try to give, reasonable time for people to plan ahead on that. But again, top priority right now is current scaling issues. Byzantinus has a question. Some conspiracy theorists like to float the idea that there were Splinterlands team members dumping SPS when SPS first went live last week. Can you address this rumor and reassure the player base? And then remind people to look at the white paper. Yes, so please look at the white paper. You can see the distribution. The SPS Foundation did sell some SPS into the market when the prices went up really, really high after launch. And then that was used to provide additional liquidity. It was sold for BNB tokens, which were then used to provide liquidity, more liquidity to the market. And then also some was used to provide liquidity on the diesel pools in Hive Engine. And again, any funds or any earnings that came from that are in the SPS Foundation account that will ultimately be controlled by the players who own the SPS tokens. So, any profits that come from that, and all the foundation liquidity in PancakeSwap is in the farm earning cake, and it's earned tons of cake at this point because it's over $1 million worth of liquidity, and that's all just more funds going into the SPS organization that will be controlled by the SPS holders and players. So that really gives more value to SPS because it's actual other tokens of value that are backing, that are controlled by, and is in a way backing SPS tokens. And then aside from that, the team members haven't gotten their SPS payouts yet, but all current members on the team, are going to get some SPS for being team members, and that's going to be, but they're going to be staked directly to their accounts. So it's not like it can all be dumped at once anyway. They would have to unstake, and I think most team members, like Agrod and myself, are hodlers here. But then there was also all the private sale investors, and they got in at a very low price. So some of them may have sold. I didn't really look at the numbers, but that's the deal as far as SPS being sold by team members. The only ones that were sold were some by the foundation in order to get additional funds to provide liquidity and earn more rewards for the foundation, which is all of you, the SPS holders. Question, do you need a break? Mental health is a priority. Take a long weekend. You've earned it. So yeah, I'm actually away with the family this weekend right now. Although, still doing a good bit of work during that time, trying to make sure, to keep things running and deal with issues and do the AMA, which I like doing anyway. So that's fine. But yeah, I do try to, there was an all-nighter, one of the days last week. Things got a little hectic, but as far as I'm concerned, you got to do what you got to do here. Like, it's kind of not an option when things are probably, I got to put in the work now, and we got to make it so that things are sustainable and scalable and run smoothly. And when there are issues, it's important to deal with them, and I'm making sure to do that. And that, we have a much bigger team now than we've ever had. So, there were some issues that came up. There was at the end of the season, the website crashed, and I was actually out with my family, and some of the other team members just took care of it kind of without me, which was great. So the team's growing rapidly and really doing a good job of just being able to figure out everything and take care of problems and kind of spread the load around. So it's we're trying to move as fast as we can here. But I think once this is all over, we're going to have a really, really good foundation for just like huge growth in the future without all these kind of growing pains we're going through right now. So I appreciate that, Unit QM. Question, if already answered, is CR coming first? I think that's supposed to be Chaos Legion or land reveal. My guess is at this point, probably Chaos Legion. The lands, there's still a good bit left to do on land. And, things just keep coming up that cause that to be pushed back. And we want to get land right. So Chaos Legion is pretty standard in the sense that we've released new editions a number of times before. We've got that all down. Like, it's not a huge lift to get that out versus land, which is like a completely new thing. It takes a lot of design. There's a lot of things that come up that we didn't think through or that we need to change. So that's why that's taking a lot longer than anticipated. And we want to, take our time and get that right versus things like Chaos Legion, which is easier, much easier, I'll say. Question, can Gary Gensler come after us? SPS. I mean, I guess it's always possible, but in general, you know, we work with a good blockchain-focused law firm that specifically helped us to set up the SPS token and everything we do, you know, legally and, you know, following all applicable regulations. So, you know, in this industry, there's always some risk. You never kind of really know what's going on with the regulatory landscape here, and things change pretty rapidly. But you know, we're trying to be as smart and careful as possible about all these things, while also, you know, still doing the things that we want to do and that we think players will like, but just doing them in a smart and careful way with as much guidance from our legal team as possible. But I can't guarantee anything other than saying, you know, we're trying our best, and getting good legal advice to make sure that's all done correctly. All right, I'll also mention that I do have to stop at 9, which is in about 17 minutes. So I don't know how many questions there are, but I see the chat scrolls down a lot. So maybe we'll, you know, if we could ask everyone to just stop questions for this week's AMA, that would be good. Question, how much is the Chaos Legion pack? So talked about that a little bit earlier, but in case you missed it, not sure yet. That'll be announced for certain when we announce the pre-sale. But, you know, I don't see a reason why it shouldn't still be $2 or something similar to that. But, you know, that you'll know for sure when we get to that announcement. Question, where is he picking the questions from? I don't see he's picking the question where he's reading from this channel, from the Crimson Viper. I'll try to start saying who said the question and at what time, if that helps. But I'm just scrolling through the channel and finding anything that starts with question. Question, has land been delayed? At this point, yeah, pretty much everything has been delayed as we are just working on the scaling issues. And obviously, you know, the big change to move all the battle operations off the blockchain was not factored into our roadmap, and all the other stuff that's kind of happened over the past couple of weeks. So yes, things have been delayed because of that. But hopefully it's ultimately a good delay, because, you know, we didn't want to release land or, you know, run into this issue down the road also when there's even more things out. So hopefully, like, this will just take care of all the scaling stuff for long time, and then, like, all the focus can just be on the development work of the new features. Question, if DEC is supposed to be stable, why is there a pre-update pump? Well, I mean, supposed to be stable is, you know, it's our intention that it will be worth a certain amount, and we accept it for a certain amount in the game. And there are a bunch of mechanics that help, you know, either print more dark energy crystals when the value's above our intended target, or vice versa when it's below the intended target. But that's just, you know, an intended target, and, you know, the market does what the market does, and we can't control that. So, you know, players should act accordingly. You know, I can't say what it's going to do or what the price is going to be, but I can say that we accept it at the rate of 1,000 dark energy crystals per dollar in the game for packs and other things. And then more dark energy crystals are printed when the market value goes above that rate. And, you know, the market will do its thing and come up to the final price. Question, why change season rewards to current rank instead of highest achieve? Just give people loot rewards, let the gameplay card demand dictate the card prices. End of season players will take advantage and increase card rentals. How can new players cope up? So I'm not sure I understand the last part of that question. But as far as why we're changing it to the current rank at the end of the season instead of the highest achieved, is just to deal with, that's the only way we can really reduce the cooldown time from the current 7 days to 1 day that we're planning to do. Is because if it's the highest league achieved during the season, then players can rent cards for a day or just transfer them or whatever. If the cooldown is 1 day, level up an account to a high league, send the cards to another account, level that up to high league, and vice versa. And they could do that, 14 or 15 times in a season and get really high, the high rewards for 15 accounts using the same set of cards, which is what we want to avoid. So if it's just the current league at the end of the season, not the highest league achieved, then that won't work. And really, each, one card can basically only be used, count as like collection power for one account earning rewards at the end of the season. So, is that we're going to try that out as always. And, if that causes problems or if that isn't good, we'll review and we'll listen to player feedback and see if it makes sense to change it further. But in general, I think overall, the 7-day cooldown is more of a pain point and frustration for players. And we really want to get that down as much as possible while also not letting people kind of use it to take advantage of the system. Byzantinist has a question. Update, I think already answered earlier. With pre-sales tied to staked SPS, if Chaos Legion purchases count for affiliate purchases, some players are going to want to know whether they will need to unstake SPS on their main to move to their alt. Yeah, so we're going to announce the details as far in advance as possible, but it may not be 4 weeks in advance. But the plan is just to have, you can buy X amount of packs per the amount of SPS tokens you have staked. So, if you're planning to buy a bunch of Chaos Legion packs in an account and you want another account to get the referral bonus for that, you'll need the SPS staked in the appropriate account. And we'll obviously always try to get the details out as soon as possible, but we can't release details until they're finished, and we haven't done all that work yet. Question, also maybe change the sound volume. Yeah, that would be a good setting to be able to adjust the volume too. I like that. Question, has an additional splinter been considered? Yeah, we have considered and even done a little bit of design work in the past for additional splinters, but it never ended up being something we wanted to actually put in the game. So it's something that's on the table, but so far didn't seem to really make sense to us, at least. Question, will castles be considered legendary? That is a good question. I'm not they'll either be considered legendary or even potentially somewhat better than legendary, because I think the keeps actually, as far as rarity, would be similar to legendary. So they'll be considered at least legendary, I can say. And that's part of the the details we need to get to with the land claim release. Question, I have 30 collection power and 3095 DEC in the airdrop. Am I getting that? You should be able to see how many airdrop points you're getting on the SPS screen in the game. If you click on your SPS balance at the top, you should be able to see the DEC and collection power reflected there. Question, in the last 10 hours, I found timeout error, now I still found same error. What do you do, Dev? Do you want to eliminate players? Yeah, we mentioned we understand there are a lot of issues right now. It sounds like particularly on mobile, which I'm not sure why, but we're working to get that fixed as soon as possible, and hopefully within the next week we'll have our updates out that should really take care of hopefully all those problems for the foreseeable future. Question, can we rewrite the error message to give people a better feeling when they read it, maybe give links to resources? Yeah, I think there's a lot of work that should be done on better handling different error messages for things. It's not just like one error message. There's all sorts of different things that can go wrong, that we have to handle and update the messages for. And none of these things are like, it's not like a 5-minute thing. You just go in and do that. Any change, even small ones, they have to be done. They have to be kind of reviewed and tested, because even like a small little change, if there's a problem with it, can actually cause problems and make things worse. So, we try to go as fast as possible, but we also have to be careful not to break more things by rushing. So there's like a huge list of things like that that I think we should do, but we're going to try to get to them when we can. Yeah, will a pack cost the equivalent of $2 or 2K dark energy crystals from Anjay Nakuru? Yeah, we've answered that. Don't know for sure, but somewhere around that amount. Question: any new animated skins in the works? We have had plans for animated skins for a long time. We just always try to be careful, since it's a web-based game primarily, that we keep file sizes small. Just so it doesn't take forever to download things. And generally animations can be pretty large, but I think I mentioned that Nate's been working with a lot of the artists and Cryptomancer to get some animations in the game with small file sizes. So I think as we kind of play around with that more and get a good system for that, we'll see a lot more animations and skins and kind of everywhere else in the game. Question: is there anything that can be done better informing players about the technical issues? People in general chat are mad sometimes because they don't know about the fixes. Yeah, I mean, one thing we've been doing is bringing on more customer support people, kind of as quickly as we can, to just help out in Discord and Telegram and all those places. We've posted some official updates, but maybe we can do more. In general, it's been a little hectic of trying to fix things and communicate and deal with issues. So I agree that it hasn't been the best, but hopefully, we'll learn and do better in the future. Question: any collaborations with any game, NFT or otherwise, in the future? I think definitely we love doing the collaborations with other games. We don't have any to announce right now, or we would have announced them, but we definitely are always open to that and excited to do that if it comes up. Question: is it possible to change the peg value of DEC? It is possible, certainly. I don't see any plans to do that. I don't have any, at least right now, but that's the type of thing, maybe could be up to governance votes in the future. And again, I really have to go in about 5 minutes, so I'm going to get to as many questions as I can in that time, and then I'll have to jump off. So I apologize if any questions don't get answered, but it's awesome to see so many new people here and so many questions. And I'll leave a minute at the end to just say a quick thank you and goodbye, and plan the next AMA time. What is the window from Stealth Trader? What's the window of SPS you expect will be needed for future promotions and events, like 1K to 100K? Well, I think that's going to depend on what the promotion and event is. So pretty much for everything, we're just going to look at, kind of the breakdown of SPS, and kind of the value of the thing that is from the promotion or event, and the market price of SPS, and kind of make a call of what seems like a reasonable amount that, lets enough players participate and doesn't price too many people out. So I can't say it's like you have this much and you're going to be good for everything. It's kind of going to depend. But overall, if you just want to max out the benefit from everything, I would say stake as much SPS as you can to get the most benefit. The question: in last week's AMA, Ag said he was passing this to you. Can you explain how that maximum SPX stake someone can expect to reach before returns diminishing returns? In this example, you show 600K, but also said millions would have diminishing returns. Okay, well, so basically it's just players are going to earn a certain amount of SPS tokens for every ranked battle, and that will be split among everyone who stakes SPS on them. So, I mean, the returns will diminish immediately, right? So if a player were to earn 10 SPS tokens from a battle and there's 2 SPS staked on them, then 5 will go to each of those SPS stakes. So the more the SPS they have staked, the more it gets distributed, and the average return goes down. So that's the numbers in the white paper are just kind of examples thrown out there to show how the system might look, but they're really just examples, and they're not optimal numbers or anything like that. It's just showing that higher ranked players can earn higher returns for more SPS than lower ranked players is really all to read into it. Question, I don't know if it's been questioned, but is there a chance DEC could be close to its peg price sooner than we expected, or what does it entail to get to that price? I mean, the market price of dark energy crystals can do anything, and we have no idea what it may or may not be in the future. So, you know, obviously, if more people sell dark energy crystals than buy it, the price will go down, and it could even go below its, you know, well below its peg price, which has happened in the past. So, you know, we've published and been clear about the mechanisms that we have for dark energy crystals in the game, but that's all we can talk about, you know, and then the price will do what it does. Question, how do you balance card stats when it's released? It will not OP those. You don't have the chaos cards yet. Do you play test? So I talked about that a lot earlier. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through it again. But if you missed it, hopefully someone's recording it and you can hear I talked about that a lot earlier. Question, are there plans to pull card skins before they are sold out? Seeing them at 50% off made me nervous you might be ending the offering. No, that's been the, we're not pulling the card skins, certainly. And the 50% off thing, if you buy a whole set, has been there since we first released them. So that has not changed at all. We're not pulling them or anything because of that. Question, yeah, but Matt, will your son be designing any cards for Chaos Legion? Probably. Well, I don't know about for Chaos Legion, but maybe for some of the new reward cards or something that come out, because I think Chaos Legion's already designed. But my son draws lots of Splinterlands cards regularly and bugs me about when they can be in the game. Question, is there any function to know how many days till your rent expires? You should be able to look at the rental activity and see how many days the rental's for and, you know, when it started and figure that out. We do have a developer working on a notification system for Splinterlands stuff that could like send notifications when it gets close to expiring and things like that. But I'm not sure when that's going to be ready. All right, I'm going to get Cryptomancer's question as the last one. I apologize for anyone else who has questions, but I have to stop in a couple minutes. The question, I think some random third parties have created additional DEC pools on Binance Smart Chain, and so there's a bit of confusion about which pool on that chain contributes SPS airdrop points for holding DEC in the pool. Can you confirm which pool we officially support for that purpose? Yeah, so only officially supported pools will be counted for the SPS airdrop, and on Binance, it is only the DEC BUSD pool. You know, just the regular one on PancakeSwap, you still also get credit for it if you put the LP tokens in Cub DeFi. But any other dark energy crystal pools won't be counted. And similarly for the diesel pools on Hive Engine, it's just the DEC swap.hive and the DEC SPS pools, I think, are the only ones that are officially counted pools right now for the airdrop. So, all right, with the last minute, I just want to say, again, you know, we understand that there have been a number of issues and in the battling and in the game, and you know, we're working as fast as we can to implement the solution that we posted to get that hopefully all just taken care of once and for all for good. My hope is that will be live within the next week, which is a pretty big change to get live in that amount of time. So we just really appreciate everyone's support and understanding as we get through that. And also to the people who have been like kind of volunteering to help out. You know, I just want to say we really appreciate that in Discord and Telegram and stuff. And that stuff definitely will not go unnoticed when this is all over. So you know, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but hopefully, you know, in the future we'll look back on this as just a little blip. And, you know, everything will just keep going up from here. And we couldn't do it without all you guys, you know, participating, being a part of it, helping out new players, everything that you're doing. So I think I can speak for Aggroed and myself when we say how much we appreciate everyone here in this community. And really quick, I think we'll do the next AMA next Friday at our kind of normal time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern at 6 p.m. UTC time. So yeah, thank you everybody. And I'm going to go, but you know, love all you guys. And thanks for being a part of the Splinterlands.